everybody get seated real quick, and then I'm going to ask you to stand up.
Okay. Hey, Carolyn already. Hey, take this to Carolyn Reeves and say whichever she wants. She'll give you some money back.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming through our stars and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Isn't Tina great? Welcome all of those who were here last year and back again this year. If you're here, any of our new guests, I welcome you too. And if you will, join us next month. We meet every fourth Tuesday of the month and right here at this place. So if you like what you see tonight, come on back next month. I would like to introduce our pastor here at the church to lead us in prayer.
You notice when she tries to say my last name, she tells her. I'm used to it. It's okay. It's Erkenbrock.
Erkenbrock.
Oh, now she gets okay. All right, we need a gentle reminder. That's all right. All right, would you bow your head out here, please? Lord, we just come to you with thanksgiving tonight. Lord, we come into your gates with thanksgiving. Lord, we see chaos in the world, Lord, but we know you are on the throne. Lord, as we move forward right here in Hood County, Lord, give us vision and wisdom. Lord, in this important time as we choose leaders to lead us into that next season, Lord. Let us be vigilant in deciding, Lord, and as we go through this process, Lord, let us have grace and mercy for those around us, Lord. Lord, this does not have to be something where we attack, but where we come together. Lord, be with us through this. Bless those that are choosing to step out to be heard, Lord. And we thank you for that in the name of Jesus. And everybody said?
Amen. Amen. Thank you. If I could have my witness. Matt's going to lead us in our pledges. Go sit down.
An angel got his wings. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, y'all help me with this one.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
If all of our veterans can stand, come sit down, veterans. I know it's up, down, up, down. We appreciate everything Everyone know here from Mayor Jarrett. He's not able to join us tonight. He has a city council meeting. So he wanted me to pass on this message. That a meeting requested by the City Council regarding the forensic audit of HCAD between the DA and the Mayor have been delayed until late February so the DA can engage an expert fraud investigator to review the information that has been made available. So he wanted y'all to know that that meeting had been delayed. And that's because Mark Lowry needs to go to another commitment that he had. We're going to have Mark come up and speak to you. As y'all, most of you know, Mark Lowry is running for our county judge. And
I appreciate all of you showing up, and I appreciate Sharon allowing me to speak early because I do have to go to another event previously scheduled. Those of you that know me, those of you that don't know me, I'm a retired federal agent, 30 years, 35 years in law enforcement. I had a top secret clearance for 30 of my law enforcement years. I want to be your next county judge. I'm running, and I'm going to run hard to the very end. Karen and I lived in Georgia, North Georgia, for 2 years. The Secret Service sent me there to get ready for the Olympics in '96. We had a red Jeep Wrangler. We loved the children up in that Jeep Wrangler, and we'd ride off to North Georgia, up to Dahlonega, Amicalola Falls, over to Helena, and then back down. We could do that in a day, and it was just gorgeous. As we drove along, we would see these large green mountains. And I figured out what it was. It was kudzu. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was kudzu it was an invasive weed that we brought to this country. It would encapsulate houses, cars, and barns if you didn't eradicate the kudzu. In my opinion, we're experiencing our kudzu moment right here in Hood County. We have an establishment, the good old boy system here, that's not been eradicated, that has not been trimmed back with proper weeding. It continues to strangle our creative thinking. It strangles our free speech. It bullies people to silence people, and they mishandle our tax dollars. And I think we can all see that if we look at the evidence. They're violating the rights of our citizens. So why am I running? I get 3 or 4 months. Why am I running? I got 2 reasons besides that one up top. I didn't want to run. As I shared before, 35 years in law enforcement. I'll be honest with you, I did not want to run. I struggled with it. It pulled me and kept pulling me. In August, I finally got up at 2 a.m., couldn't sleep, went out on my back porch where I spend my quiet time, and really wept. I pleaded to God, haven't I done enough? 35 years in law enforcement, I've seen the most tragic things you can see by human eyes. Children, adults, the evilness upon mankind. I've also seen the beautiful things in the world. I've seen the great migration of the wild beasts in Africa. I've stood in the Vatican with the Pope and the First Lady. I've seen Victoria Falls in Africa. I can go on and on about the beauty of this country. But I've seen the tragedy of evilness in this country. I didn't want to run. I read the Psalms 90 at the end, 17 read it. It survived. I survived in 2016 at the first President Trump inauguration. I had the deputy director of the RNC from January to August to the end of it. And I struggled. It was overwhelming responsibility, and I was understaffed and under-budgeted. 17 verses 17 to the end. It says twice, God will appoint us the work of our hands. God will appoint us the work of our hands. Then you read Psalm 91. Of course, that's the soldier's psalmist. Gives you strength, shadow of the Most High. I wept. When I got done, I was very confident. He said, run. My spirit became very calm. Went back to bed, slept like a baby, like I always do. Got up and I told my lovely wife, Karen, that I'm running. And she was all in for it. She was all in for it. As I said, I didn't want to run, but the spirit, my spirit was very, very calm. I'm also running because I'm confident he wants me to run, but he never said anything, folks, about winning. It's not about winning for me. I will run till the end of March 3rd, and I will run as hard as I can until God sort this out. If I lose, I lose. It's God's will. If I win, I win. We are at the crossroads. we can change the direction we've been going for decades. You in this room and your neighbors can make a change by voting for the right candidate. This is not about me. This is not about me. This is about the most qualified and experienced, proven leader for the next 4 years. You can vote for the establishment candidate who sat on the age cap during this time of mismanagement of our resources. An establishment, his treasurer, his establishment, wife of his treasurer. He's been anointed by the establishment. Or you can vote for the change agent. And I am the change agent for Hood County. Compare the two candidates and vote. The opportunity for you to make a change is coming March 3rd. I want your vote. I need your vote. We need your vote in Hood County. Now, I see my opponents here. I would like you to offer some response if you'd like, because this age cap thing needs to be addressed. And it needs to be addressed clearly how this came about at the Hood Central Appraisal District. That's up to Cheryl in your time. Thank you, and I need your vote.
Due to the fact that we've had to move our meeting from what it usually is to this date, my agenda is getting kind of turned around a little bit. So now I'm going to introduce Shauna Kaminsky with Turning Point Academy. This is a classical Christian education for our children and future generations by cultivating Christian citizens from a very early age. Welcome, Shauna, and she's going to explain to us what this is about.
Thank you guys for inviting me and giving me the time to share with you. I'm the founder and head of school of Turning Point Academy at Granbury, and my assistant director is...
I'm over here.
There. Jackie Lopez, right? So I wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight. Public education in the United States was designed to be the great equalizer, a system that ensured that every child had access to knowledge, civic instruction, and preparation for adult life. It sounds like I'm advertising for them, doesn't it? It's not, though. Trust me. At its best, when it was its best, it produced scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, civic leaders, and who understood the value of hard work and responsibility and patriotism. But today, many schools have strayed away from that mission. And instead of focusing upon academics, they are spending resources pushing political ideologies. One of the leading voices calling out this crisis was the late great Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA. While the current education establishments continue to mock him, his message has struck a chord with millions of Americans, parents, students, and it absolutely struck a chord with me. I'm going to be fearless in pointing out that public schools are no longer neutral spaces for learning. From critical race theory that teaches children to view one another primarily by skin color, to radical gender ideology being promoted in your elementary school classrooms. Time and time again, we have exposed how politics have invaded math, reading, and history lessons instead of teaching kids the basics. Schools too often function as ideological training grounds, turning out activists rather than informed citizens, and there is a difference. This is not an accident. It's the result of union-backed agendas, progressive administrators, and state officials who view children as vessels for social experiments. By shining a light on indoctrination, we are empowering parents to say, we've had enough. For decades, school boards have operated with little public oversight. Few parents attend meetings. Anybody seen the meetings here? But now, thanks in a large part to Charlie Kirk's advocacy, parents are realizing that school boards are at ground zero in the fight. We're fighting for America's future. Charlie encouraged mom and dads to attend meetings, to ask hard questions, and even to run for office, even if they were unsuccessful. Our message is clear at Turning Point Academy in Granbury. If you do not take responsibility for what your children are being taught, someone else is going to, and it's not going to align with your values. This renewed parental engagement is one of the most hopeful signs of future in our education. We will continue to make a bold and consistent case for school choice, and we understand that competition creates accountability. If parents have the option to leave failing schools and take their tax dollars with them, public schools will be forced to improve or risk losing students. Anybody want to guess what they're doing here? They're losing students. They lost 100 last month. The left fears that model, precisely. The left fears that model precisely because it threatens to overthrow their monopoly. Teachers' unions have overwhelmingly fund progressive candidates. They know that vouchers, charters, and home school will, in fact, break the grip on the system. So I'm unapologetic in saying to you that families should not be trapped in failing schools because of their zip code or financial constraints. Choice restores freedom, empowering parents, and giving children the chance to thrive in environments in which their needs are actually met. At the heart of Turning Point Academy, our message is a call to return to truth and patriotism in our classrooms. Schools should not teach children that America is a nation built on oppression, and it should not try to erase our founding fathers' history or vilify our Constitution. Instead, they should equip students with the truth that while our nation is imperfect, it has been the greatest force of liberty and opportunity in human history. I'm going to make a statement that may offend you, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. You need to not just hear it, but receive it. This is a warning. If we fail to pass down the knowledge, real knowledge, we risk raising a generation that despises our own country. And that will be a tragedy, not just for the education system, but for America itself. Turning Point Academy of Granbury will become one of the most loudest and effective defenders of educational sanity in this country. We will give parents the tools to challenge radicalism, encourage students to think critically, and remind all of us that education is not just about test scores, it's about shaping the future of the nation. That the left would prefer conservatives to stay silent. But I'm here to tell you that courage is contagious. If one parent speaks up at a school board meeting and says, enough, I am removing my child from your system, another will follow, and another after that. And if one parent rejects indoctrination, same goes. Another will follow. The fight for education is ultimately the fight for America's future. With leaders like those at Turning Point Academy, at TPUSA Faith Hub, Hood County, at Generations Church, and every single one of you sitting right here, we can rally the troops. We will prove that conservatives can take back the classroom, restore excellence, and ensure that our schools form citizens, not activists. Education doesn't belong to bureaucrats, unions, or politicians. It belongs to parents, families, and communities. And I'm here to remind you of that truth, that conservatives must act on it before it's too late. Education doesn't, so Shauna, how does this all add up? Like, that sounds like a great sales pitch, right? Well, it is. But we're a very different school model. Our doors open on September 6th, and we are utilizing the current building at Generations Church on, is that still 377? Yeah, 377. So how do you help us? How do you help us get what we need? You help us by making monetary donations. We've raised $50,000 to date, and we would like to have $750,000 in the bank by August. We are launching a capital campaign of $2 million to break ground and build a separate building on the Generations campus, thanks to them and their generosity. And I know that's a lot of money, right? It is. Those are big numbers. I hear you. But if I told you how many millions of dollars the current school system here in this county got, 94 million, I feel like we pale in comparison to what it actually takes to educate a child. I'm asking you to invest in your future and your grandkids' future and their children's future. We also need your time and talents, and I'm telling you right now, sitting here in this room, just looking at this audience, there is a plethora of talent. And our kids need every single one of you. When you bless your children, when you bless our children, you bless your community. When you bless your community, ultimately you bless your country. It's a domino effect. So how are we different from the status quo? Well, glad you asked that too. We are a classical Christian education, and it is time-tested. Educational philosophy that affirms a biblical worldview and incorporates methods based on our understanding of student development. It cultivates our virtues, orients students to reasoning through the trivia, and it interacts with actually great books. And this is actually how the majority of us sitting in this room learned. This is our roots. This is where we came from. This is why we are the great thinkers. You are the great thinkers. You have been set apart. You're sitting here. Classical education emphasizes the seeking after the truth of goodness, beauty, and the study of liberal arts and great books. The classical approach focuses on teaching students how to learn and how to think. Not what to think, how to think. The classical philosophy of education was followed to produce countless great leaders, and it's produced you all. I met with Nanette for like the first time face-to-face today, and she's a great leader. These are just prime examples of people. So what makes us so effective? Well, it's our approach and how students are taught. If you don't know what the trivium is, grammar is ages K through 6, basically. And then we have logic, and then we have rhetoric. And I know rhetoric might have a not so great words because we've heard rhetoric blasted through the news by CNN, but that is not what it means. Rhetoric means is that we are actually teaching people how to defend their thoughts and tell us what their why is. So it's this approach to teaching students, and we base it all on their developmental stage. For example, if Marietta is a 4th grade student and she says, I stink at math, and we say, yeah, you might. We need a little bit extra work. We can say, no problem, Marietta. We are going to drop her down a phase in math, but let's say that she is absolutely brilliant in English. And we say, man, 4th grade just isn't, it's not working for her. Like, we could really challenge this girl. We could challenge her. We can then put her in 5th grade or 6th grade. So we can literally curtail this program and this curriculum to any child to meet them exactly where they're at in the moment that they're at. And it's a constant matter of like reevaluation, where they're going, and working with the teachers. Okay, so one more thing. Even more exciting, can y'all keep a secret? I see social media there, but can y'all keep a secret? No? Probably not, right? At this day and age. We have actually been given a unique opportunity at our school. We will be the flagship. We have been invited to have a college on our campus and a vocational school. That is the first. That is the first for any Turning Point school. We are the first doing that aspect of this. And that is very exciting because it means your kid has trajectory, right? They are going someplace. They're either on a college route, if that is the route that they indeed are going to take, or they're going to leave with a trade. So they're going somewhere. And they're going somewhere with the best education that you can actually buy. And I'd say buy, but it's an investment. Like, it is an investment. The bottom line is, right, you get what you pay for. So we need to pull our emotions out of it for a minute, release that and say, what have we gotten thus far? And what are we getting currently? Is it going to work for you? Okay. Finally, the thing that I'm actually most passionate about in our school system is really restoring the American family. We are definitely there to help teach your children, to help guide your children. But we are mostly there to restore the American family, to give your children back to you, because they're yours, they're not mine. They are your babies. They are not my babies. We're here to support you, we're here to encourage you, we're here to help you, we're here to give you the material, we're here to help you and guide you and nurture you, mom and dad, and grandma and grandpa, auntie and uncle. We want you involved in the children's lives again. The biggest mistake that I think this country has made is pulling mom and dad in the public school system saying, sorry, you can't come today, or you can only come once a month for lunch. That's not okay. We need you guys involved in your life. You need to know your child's community. This is their friend, this one, and this is that one, and this is their mom, and this is their dad, or their aunt, and their uncle. You need to be engaged in every aspect of your child's life. So at this school, we are giving the children back to their parents, we are giving the children their parents, and we are giving the parents their children. And this is a massive undertaking, and I want to walk in humility and be very clear that this is not me, this is not Jackie, it's not Charlie. This is all God. It has just been ordained step by step by step. I almost don't want to say it's been easy. It has, but it's not the word easy. The word easy is not appropriate. It has just been ordained because every single solitary request, every need that we've had has been met. And it's been met through the community at large, like y'all. Y'all may not think that you can do anything. You might put the number 750,000 and be like, sis, get lost. Listen to me, you can. You give the public school system $94 million a year. I assure you, you can do this. We can do this. We're here for our kids. We're here for our families. And we're ready to restore everything. Thank y'all.
Mention that this is one of the first schools. Did you mention that? I'm back here and I don't remember. It's okay. So I wanted to make sure everybody understood that Hood County was chosen for this, and it's a great privilege. The Hood County Republican Conservatives Board has voted that we really want to support this school and see if we can't get it off the ground. So this year, instead of doing our senior assay questions or assay reports and that, because it seems like not enough students in Hood County need any kind of help when they go to college. They don't seem to want to participate. So this year, Hood County Republican Conservative is going to help support this school. So I'd like for all of you guys to get behind them, help Shauna and Jackie out every way you can. and see what they need, okay? All right. Okay, so next, we're going to have, if I could have, all of the people in the audience, all the candidate members in the audience to come on up front. And I'll take a couple minutes and let everybody get a chance to see you and tell them who you are and what you're running for. So if you guys will all come up front.
You want the chairs up too? Decent chairs?
Most of you know me, but I'm Melanie Graft. How many of you remember where you were on 9/11? So I was a flight attendant on 9/11, and we never got off the ground. And I wasn't much money, just a typical 20-something-year-old, and didn't really pay attention to much, just kind of superficial. But it was that day that kind of changed everything for me, and I started asking who, what, why. And it was shortly after that I attended my first state convention. I was living in Euless at the time. And that's when I first got involved in politics. And so my why is sitting right here, actually. And I have two other whys at home, but they're not here. But it's my children, and it's my grandchildren. That's my why. So I went to the state convention. After that, I got involved. We moved to Granbury eventually, got involved and became a precinct chair for 5 years. Then became vice chair of elections as a precinct chair because I noticed that the Democrats were running our elections, and that to me was crazy, especially in a Republican town. So we took care of that, cleaned it up, and I'm going to give kudos to Tina, wherever she is, because I did take a year off to fight breast cancer, and Tina took that over, and she's still doing that, and she's doing a great job. So I want to thank her for that. And then last year, I became your district clerk. And so what have I done as district clerk? So one of the things we did is we have to reconstitute the jury wheel every 2 years. If we don't do that, what happens is the same people are called for jury duty over and over and over again, and I hear all the time, I just did this like last year. Well, it wasn't reconstituted. It wasn't being reconstituted. So last week, I worked with the Secretary of State, me, and another one of my clerks, and we had that jury wheel reconstituted. So if you've been getting called for jury duty in the last 2 years, you should be getting a reprieve coming up here. I also discovered that the last jury plan we had was from 2008. So one of my clerks worked very hard on that, and we got that accomplished a couple of months ago, and we submitted that to the Secretary of State. Another thing that needs to be submitted to the Secretary of State. We're also ordered with getting the highest interest rates for CDs for minors who are victims of crimes. So when I took office, we were using local banks, nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't the best interest rate we could get. So the county already works with an organization called Texas Class. So we went from about 2.6% interest rate to about 4.6 for those minors. So we're getting a better interest rate for the minors who are victims of crimes. And then education. Education is very important in my office. My clerks never got to go to any training, and so I started implementing. All but one has gone to training and will continue to do that. And then I also felt that it was very important for myself too. I went back to school on my own time and on my own dime, my own money, and I have the receipts to prove that, and got my paralegal certification. I finished a week early and got that done because what that does is it gives me a background in law so that I can better serve you. The office of district clerk doesn't belong to me. It's not my office. It's your office. It belongs to you, the taxpayers. I work for you. I don't work for the government. And on March 3rd, I would like to earn your vote. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frederick Santiago. If you don't know me, I'm the Veteran Service Coordinator for Pecan Valley and the Texas Veterans Commission. I service 6 counties and over 27,000 veterans. I am currently the precinct chair for 409. I grew up in Granbury. I was raised on conservative values. I learned those values through my church, my family, my teachers, and my coaches. It's because of those strong values that I served 25 years in the Army and retired, and I came home. I'm running for precinct chair because I believe this is the greatest country on earth, and I believe God, country, and family should be back in all aspects of our lives. I was obligated to get involved because leaders seem to be running them up, spending our tax dollars with little transparency. I'm not a smart guy. I'm a common sense guy. I can't sit idle and watch Granbury spiral into debt and leave it for the next generation. When I returned home, I saw that my town was being inundated by liberal ideology. The school board was getting wrapped around the axles about what to call students, what pronouns to call students, debating over boys and girls sports and bathrooms, and allowing perverse books in libraries. We need decisions focused on structure and curriculum, developing resources that support that curriculum. As expected, I'm the bridge between voters and the GOP. I will keep voters informed on the issues and encourage our voters to get out and vote on every election. After the voting in March, I will continue to knock on doors and be the voters' eyes and ears and put plans into action. I will always support the conservative Republican platform. I will place voters in precinct 409 first, while committed to battling the liberal shenanigans that have plagued the county. Finally, I want to say thank you to everyone who supported, mentored, and armored me within the past few months. I will be a productive leader in our community. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Carolyn Reeves. I'm in precinct 202. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I did some welfare fraud. I'm very conservative. My father was a farmer. Grew up around horses, and I trained them in barrel race. I like little adrenaline. So I got involved in politics. We moved here to Granbury, and I was like, I don't see any conservatives around here. Where are they? And I live in the country, and there were some things that came up, and my husband likes to get involved, and so we got a business on the square and started doing some politics there. And it just seemed like there wasn't a lot of conservative people around, and so at the time I was dropping my child off at high school, and I noticed the drug dogs were no longer there, and I was like, what happened here? So I started attending school board meetings, and I started seeing people speak out about what was going on with Granbury's school and the plane and school books, and I was like, we need to step up, and God was really calling me to step up. I need to step up, and we can pray, but we need to also do stuff, and He was telling me I needed to get involved. So I was asked, I was going to school board meetings, speaking out, commissioners court speaking out, things, and city council also. And I was asked to go look at some books in the library. So I did. I was like, John's looking at books. Might as well see what she's looking at. And it became a big drama that I looked at the books in the library with Mrs. Lowry. So my partner cried. She was sitting down there running for school board trustee, and I wanted to know what her thoughts were because I had children in school and got to know her, and I felt she was the only one sitting there, so I got to know her well. So I got to know a lot of good people standing up, and I was going to run for school board at that point in time, but they had 2 good candidates there, so I was like, I don't need to run. If you got 2 good candidates, I'm fairly new to town, so I'll just step back. And then I got in trouble with the school board, this library, so my husband gave me a timeout, so I had to sit down. Got managed for that. And So that's what I'm doing. I'm running for precinct 202. I'm filling his shoes, and I hope I can do as good a job as he has. I do have an opponent, so please go vote, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Terry McNew. I'm the current precinct 101. I used to always say, I'm number one, but now it doesn't have the same ring. If I say, I'm number one, oh, one. Anyway, I love what I do. I work, also, I've had the opportunity to work as a judge or as a clerk in polls, and that's where I guess I developed my real why. I would have the opportunity to read the entire ballot to someone who needed assistance and mark it for them. And I remember reading it to an elderly gentleman, and we got to the last column, and it was one more race, man and woman, and I read them with the names, what they were running for, and thought a minute, and he said, well, let's give it to the woman this time. And I smiled, and I did what he said, and he didn't know that inside I was screaming, no, that's not the way you choose a candidate. That's not the way you make a decision. And I'm really committed to the fact that you need to be an informed voter. You need to know the candidates. You need to know the situation. You need to know what's going on. And I want very badly to continue what I do and to encourage others. And I feel it's such a privilege, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. So if you're in 101, vote Terry McNew for precinct chair.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
All right, good. My name's Steve Erickson. I'm the current precinct 313 chair, and I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Certainly, last week it was nice to postpone the meeting last week with the weather, right? Very cold. In fact, it was so cold. It was so cold that there were politicians and lawyers down on the square that had their hands in their own pockets. But as I look around the room here, and I see several people that I've walked with and gone through the neighborhood with, and just appreciate all of you. And I want to just talk briefly about what is it that Hood County voters want, right? Hood County voters out there in my time as precinct chair want two things. Number one, they don't want to be lied to. And number two, they want transparency. And so as a voter, you have to ask yourself, how did we get from I don't want anybody to lie to me and I want transparency to what we have right now happening with data centers, where you have NDAs flying around and we don't know where somebody stands on something? How do you get there? How do you end up in that spot as a voter, and what do you do about it? Well, let me tell you a little story about the last election, okay? As precinct chair, one of the things that I do, outside of going through the neighborhood, one of the things that I do is I go up to the annex on election day. Okay? Outside of going to meetings, I'm at the annex on election day. And so I was up at the annex on election day, one of the recent elections, and I was with one of the candidates, and there were some voters coming by, and that candidate called out to the voters and he said, hey, come on over here, I want to give you some information on the conservative candidates. And as the voters started walking over, all of a sudden a call comes out from across the street and says, guess what? We're conservative too. Come on over here, we're conservative too. And so what it comes down to is one of those people ended up voting on this 6-0 decision where 22, 23 people went up there and spoke against this.
I'm here to tell everybody is that your number one job is being a voter. And as a voter, you have a responsibility. That responsibility is to vet your candidates. It's to understand your candidates so that you don't get surprised someday by how they vote. That you know them and that you understand them. And so I'm here today telling the voters in 313 that you have a choice, right? You have a choice. You have somebody that says they're conservative, and you also have somebody that has been there, right? I've been to EC meetings, I've been to the annex, I've walked the neighborhood, and I've got a record that I've laid down for the people at 313 so that they can understand where I stand on things and what I'm going to do. And so, if you live in 313, I just ask you to elect a real Republican and vote for Steve Harrison.
Nobody else coming up? All right. Dave Eagle, Commissioner, Precinct 4. Eight years ago, I ran for commissioner the first time. I had 3 opponents. I got the most votes in the primary, but I didn't get 50% plus 1. So I had to get in. I went into a runoff election, which was 2.5 more months after the March primary of hell. Hope I don't get in trouble for that in this church. I haven't been struck down yet, so I'm
You're okay. You're okay.
So I went into a runoff, and I'm trying to. We got a room full of Republicans in here, right? Are y'all Republicans? I got one of my yard signs says "Real Republicans" for Dave Eagle. I got that last time. But in the runoff, I won by 9 votes. Wow. 9. And I'm trying to get across. How many in here are from Precinct 4? I'm really talking to y'all. Rest of you I love, but these are the people that can vote me in or out. We need to get our voters out. We need to get them out. Neither one of my opponents are in here tonight. You got to ask yourself why, since we are Republicans, right? Why they're not here? They're not here. I'm here. I've been your commissioner, finishing up my 2nd term, and I've been a fighter.
Amen to that. Yeah.
So we're in a period of time right now in this country that I think that we're at a crossroads. Yeah. And we either decide to have fighters in here who will stand up and take a beating like I have, like Melanie has,
Right.
like others have, because we're going in here and taking a beating. But I'm willing to do that for my grandkids, for y'all, in the future, because if we don't keep conservative in here in this county, they're coming for us. And they're coming for us in the form of, I'm really a Republican and they're not. Now, we've got something interesting this year, and I'll shut up. I can talk for a while. Sharon back here, shut up. Come on, man, keep going. We have a contested Democrat primary this time between U.S. senators for race for U.S. Senate as Democrat. And they're going to make a run at that Senate race. If the voters in this county that are really Democrats stay in their own primary, we're going to kill them. We're going to kill them this time. So let's hope the Democrats stay in their primary. And but the bottom line is you guys have to get out and vote. You know I'm a fighter. I need your vote. Early voting starts on Tuesday, the 17th of this month. Goes for 2 weeks, and then election day is March 3rd. Please come out and vote and show this county that we're going to keep it conservative. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you a quick story about Dave and his 9 votes. Because I was at the party tonight, his watch party that night, little small group, maybe not even 10 people, maybe, sitting there waiting for the votes to come in. And Hood County News already has Dave lost. And we were all sad and sitting around, and we were all, you know, and Fran Petite, I don't know how many know Fran Petite, but she comes walking up and she says, "Why are y'all all so upset?" We said, "Well, Dave lost." She said, "How could he lose? I'm from Lakeside Baptist, and I just now turned in our votes, and Dave won by 9. So that's...
Well, good evening, everybody. It's really a good night when I get a chance to speak to a room full of Republicans. I'm going to take a little bit of a different tack. A lot of you already know me. I'm Greg Harrell. I'm the chairman here of the Hood County Republican Party. Really proud to walk that walk with all of you here in this room as Republicans. So at your table, you had one of these door hanger cards that are re-elected Greg Harrell. But on the back, you'll look at this real pretty scene of the Lake Granbury here in Hood County. And I want to talk about that a little bit instead of about me. As you all know, I also serve as SRAC committee man for SD 22. The SRAC is effectively the board of directors for the Republican Party of Texas. And so I'm going to let you in on a little thing that's developing and I need to move very quickly, but this is the first time that you all are going to hear this news. I submitted a resolution earlier this week on data centers to the Resolutions Committee of the RPT down in Austin. And I'll head down there on Friday to take it up. I'm a member of the Resolutions Committee as well. But here, I want to read this resolution to all of you because what I want you to do is I want you to be encouraged about the fight in regards to data centers. You all know where I stand on that issue, I think. I have been, since day one, I was an early adopter of the fact that we really need to deal with this. So listen very carefully to this resolution. Resolution on the establishment of additional data centers in the state of Texas, whereas the pace of data center construction has exponentially increased across the United States and within the state of Texas, driven by the increasing demand for digital infrastructure, data aggregation, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency mining, and related transaction settlement processes, and cloud computing services. Whereas local resistance to data center projects has emerged across many states, including in Texas, due to concerns about the adverse impact of these massive projects on surrounding communities, the environment, public health, increased consumer costs, and local resources. And whereas the state of Texas electrical grid, managed by the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT, is already under significant strain due to a rapidly increasing demand for electricity, and whereas the projection data indicate that without expanded capacity and infrastructure investments, Texas could face substantial shortfalls in electricity generation and grid reliability over the next decade, raising risk of instability and increasingly higher energy costs for consumers. And whereas rapid increases in electricity demand attributable to data centers have raised concern among grid operators and regulators about how to balance large, continuous loads with the need to maintain reliable service for residential, agriculture, and business customers, especially during peak summer demand and extreme weather events. We just went through one. And whereas Texas faces persistent water scarcity and drought conditions in many regions of the state, leading to constraints on municipal water supplies and water management challenges for both agricultural and residential users. And whereas data centers, particularly the larger facilities commonly known as hyperscalers, require substantial volumes of water for cooling and related operations. And whereas estimates suggest that data center water use in Texas may reach tens of billions of gallons annually, with some projections indicating potential consumption of hundreds of billions of gallons by 2030, equating to a meaningful share of statewide water use amidst ongoing drought conditions and current regulations in Texas provide only limited requirements, and you need to hear this. The county is faced with this, limited requirements for transparent reporting and planning related to water consumption by data centers, making it difficult for communities and water planners to anticipate and manage future water supply needs. Therefore, be it resolved by the Republican Party of Texas that we hereby express our strong opposition to the establishment of additional large-scale data centers in the state of Texas until comprehensive enforceable safeguards are in place that protect electrical grid reliability, ensure responsible water use, and respect community resources and public health needs. The state of Texas and relevant regulatory bodies should act and enforce policies that require transparent reporting of both anticipated electricity and water demand for all proposed data center projects with full disclosure to local and state planning authorities and the public before final approval. No future data center project shall be approved without a rigorous, independent assessment of impacts on the state grid and regional water resources, including in-depth plans that detail how the project will not degrade electric grid reliability or contribute to water shortages for households, farmers, and local industries. State agencies should adopt planning and regulatory standards that prioritize local resource sustainability, such as mandatory integration of water-efficient cooling technologies or utilization of waste or reclaimed water for cooling. The Texas legislature should prioritize legislation that provide mechanisms for counties, municipalities, and other appropriate governing bodies to participate meaningfully in land and resource use decisions. All right. I drafted this on Saturday. I hope the RPT will approve it. It will give us some guidance for the legislature in the future on what we need in regards to data centers here in the state of Texas. We have to get this under control. We all moved to this picture. That's why we came to Granbury. That's why we came to Hood County. I'm not asking for more regulation, but I'm asking for people first. People first. That's what the Constitution talks about, it's people first. So I'm going down there to represent Hood County. I'm going down there to represent each of you. Pray for us on Saturday that this thing passes. This will give us the guidance we need, some of the tools that we need to do the battles that we are, to fight the battles that we are currently fighting. My name is Greg Harrell. I'm running for Hood County Chair once again. My signs are in the hallway. I appreciate your vote in early voting, and I thank you for your support. God bless each and every one of you.
Good evening. My name is Ron Sutton. I've been a resident of Hood County for 33 years with my wife, Barbara. That's certainly long enough to have a deep respect, appreciation, and love for all of y'all and the other citizens of our great county. We moved here because we knew that Hood County was a slice of heaven on the banks of the Brazos. I really appreciate what Greg just read. And if you have attended commissioners' meetings to hear public comments relating to data centers, you need to do it. You need to do it. Mr. Highsmith, did you bring any letters with you? I got this from Ms. Highsmith. Okay, we already have them on the table. Be sure. Sir? Okay. Be sure to sign those. It's important. I guess I would say that my foundation
for serving you as county judge is any issue, any vote, any matter, any question that doesn't benefit the citizens of Hood County, their well-being, should even be considered. We do need transparency. That's a word that's thrown around the block. But you know, I don't believe that the citizens of our county want any service to or for the county that is in secret. That does not benefit anyone. So, my commitment to you is that as county judge, there will be no partiality, no favoritism. Everyone will always be treated with dignity and respect. No lashing out, no bullying, but conducting business in a manner that will make you proud of your county judge. I'm looking forward to doing that for you. I will say one other thing. The type of government that I believe in is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that's what we need in this county. We don't need private agendas. We don't need people telling us what to think. Instead of encouraging us to think and think critically. That's what we do as Republicans. That's what we do as conservatives. And we must continue that. Well, I love this quietness. Thank you very much for your great attention. You know, I did serve on the Hood County Central Appraisal District Board of Directors. And boy, am I proud of those 2 years' service. I served 22 and 23, and we made some great improvements in the way that that organization, that body, does business for the citizens of the county. Someone mentioned that I was a treasurer. Well, the board doesn't have a treasurer. There's a president, a vice president, and a secretary. And I proudly served as a secretary. And would be happy to discuss the things that we improved with each individual here tonight. You know, I don't think I have had the pleasure of meeting everyone. I know a lot of folks here, and I'm glad that we have guests from other counties. Good to see y'all. But before I leave tonight, I would really love to have the opportunity to meet with you and answer any questions that you have about my service, prior service to this great county, and the way that I will serve this great county going forward. I would not be running if I wasn't thoroughly convinced that God had not equipped me spiritually, mentally, and physically to serve you not as county judge, but as a good county judge. And that's why I'm here to ask for your vote. You've already been given the dates of the voting already, so I won't repeat that. Oh, yes, I will. Early voting starts February the 17th, runs through the 27th, and primary election day is March 3rd. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and I'm looking forward to serving you as your next county judge. Thank you.
I had to change everything around. So, I have Marietta Harrell up to talk to you guys for a couple of minutes about our wonderful Lincoln Gala that we're fixing to have this Saturday. We're going to take a real quick minute, and Kathy, do you have that for the gala? The gala. Sorry. Change my mind.
Sorry about that. I won't take but just a minute.
We are down to our final tickets. Tonight is the last night that you can buy tickets to this event because tomorrow I have to turn in a head count before they actually open. So I was given an extension of time, so I appreciate it. I have only 5 tables left. That's not very many. That's 40 seats. That's not very many. There are a lot of people in here that hadn't got tickets yet. I recognize a lot of people in here that have, including some of our sponsors that are here tonight, event sponsors, and I would like you to consider getting your table tonight. I'll stay at that table where you can come over and talk to me about it afterwards. I look forward to seeing you there. We're going to have a great time. We have lots of surprises in store. Don't miss it.
Right here toward the back is the beanbag game that Cook County Republican Conservatives is going to be donating to that gala that night. So if you get a chance to take a look at it, it's really beautiful. Don Chilin has done a great job. So take a look at it. It really is pretty. Next we have John Highsmith real quick. We're kind of getting behind time here, guys.
I'm John Highsmith, and real briefly, I'm really adding on to what Rick earlier was talking about with you. This is more in the nuts and bolts area of what's happening with data centers in Texas. And we have a letter that we want to send from this group to Dan Patrick, and he is president of the Texas Senate. And what we're asking them to do is to hold hearings on the Texas Commission environmental quality methods of how they go about permitting. What we found is they, with the power plants for the data centers, as an example, you'll find the permitting process is very simple. There is none. But I think that's a problem. And we think the legislature has to look at it. That is because with TCEQ, they don't have any leeway. They take all of their direction from the legislature. So if the legislature doesn't tell them to do things, nothing's going to change. And this letter does cite one of the most egregious things that we know of, the air monitoring station in Midlothian, Texas. This has been down since April of 2022. That's monitoring our air that we breathe. And what we found is TCEQ relies very heavily on models. They don't seem to believe that much in actually testing the air. They're very, very reliant on models. And I'm going to close, because I know my time is brief here. I'm going to tell a monitoring story I witnessed during a public hearing regarding the Wolf Hollow 3 gas generating plant. This is where TCEQ did come and they met with the public, and they had their modeling expert talk to us, and there were about 150 of us there. And what he explained was, well, we have these monitors, and then we collect data from each of the monitors, and then that goes into our database, and that's how we determine, what's happening with emissions from this plant. Well, that all sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Well, then Danny Lakey stood up, and he said, hey, wait a minute. Looking at your map you put up, it looks like the monitors are between the fence line and the road, and there's no way you can actually fit a monitor on there. Where are these things? That's when the modeler said, well, actually, these aren't physical monitors. These are points on our computer monitor. So that gives you some idea of how the whole process goes with TCQ permitting. They do things that sound good, but guess what? It's really lacking. It's really, I find it a very questionable process. So asking for your signatures on this letter, let's go to Dan Patrick, and it's another way of getting our message to the legislature. And I'll have these over here for you to sign. Thank you.
This is coming from HCRC as a member, and that. So we'd really like for a lot of you to get into this also. This is another project we'd really like to see y'all get into. We also have some more of the letters, I think, on the table back here with some signature pages. And what I'd like to ask is that if you want to, in your neighborhood or you're with your friends and family, take some letters and take signature pages and go out and get these filled out and then contact John or Cindy Highsmith. Okay? This is important. We've got to protect our county from these data centers and from TCEQ to rubber stamping. Everything comes along. They don't look at anything as a whole. They look at it individually. So they don't know what our air quality, what anything else is here. So we need Dan Patrick to put these hearings in place so that we can maybe get some resolution to this. Thank you, John. Okay, we're running behind and I gotta stay with me. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about, because HCRC is doing something different this year than we've ever done before. Primaries are just around the corner, as you know. So HCRC board has approved a new vetting process this year. Since there are 2 clubs, board members thought it was necessary for us to begin to vet candidates and provide a voter's guide. The vetting process weighs heavily on the candidates' participation and their longevity in the GOP and or HCRC, and their impact on the future of Republicans in Hood County. There's some copies of these, and what we've done so far is just your local candidates. On our February 9th board meeting, we will look at the propositions and the state candidates, and we'll vet them and come up with a complete list at that time. So as always, these are our candidates that we came up with, as far as being the most conservative and the most, the ones that have participated with the GOP, going to conventions, serving on the EC as precinct chairs, helped with different events and activities, and that. So as we looked at all these things, we came up with who we thought had participated with the Republican Party the most and helped move it forward in our county. So these are why we came up with this list. As always, we've done our vetting, but we urge all of you to still do your vetting. You need to look at all your candidates, look at them, vet them, because not everybody in this room is going to agree with us. We know that. There's going to be other candidates out here that you might like better. So please, vet your candidate. Go to the polls as an educated voter, please. Okay? All right. Now, we're to our door prize drawing. If you're members from the past, you know that we usually have a couple door prizes that we give away. So this time,
Grab the flag. And while we're doing this, if Clint and Bill will put the baskets around. We take a donation, and it goes towards the things like we talked about. We're going to be given to the Turning Point Academy. It goes towards food. Kathy did a great job on food again, as usual. She did an awesome job. So here's the model of the flag. It's the 250 years of freedom, 1776 to 2026. It's really cool. And by the way, look at that back there, what Don Sheelander did. That is an amazing, it lights up at night. It's weatherproof. It's super heavy, super cool. And you can make them for you too. And they're going to be on the auction at our gala. So make sure you get over to Marietta to get those tickets. Okay, here we go. We're going to draw for this. So get your tickets out.
Well, she's taking that over there. We have one more door prize. And this is kind of a late Christmas for all of you guys that didn't get to come to see us at Christmas time for our dinner. And this is a gift certificate to Fuego's Mexican Food for $30. So. I don't care how much I toss these things. 076. 076. I guess Steve and I get together for Fuego's.
It's her. We got it.
Oh.
We're having a little hard time reading.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
know our berries. We just read.
I just got my new glasses.
Okay, so,
Sharon's job is done for now, for a little while. So next on the agenda, we have John Gimble, a lifelong Central Texan and proven conservative, who brings decades of public service and grassroots leadership along with a commitment to securing the border, yay, cutting property taxes, yay, and protecting Texas families. Y'all can follow along too if you want. John and his wife Penny Leah, a professional musician, cool, make their home in McGregor. They are active members of Harris Creek Baptist Church, where their faith continues to guide their family and service. So now let's bring up and give a nice warm welcome to John Gimble. He's going to speak a few minutes and then he's going to have some time for some questions.
Thank y'all for having me here tonight. I've met a few of you, came to the county party meeting, I guess it was about November, and appreciate y'all giving me the invite. She did a nice job of delivering the little soundbite on here, but y'all probably want to get beyond sound bites and get beyond someone's just picture on a brochure. So, who am I? Why am I here? Why am I seeking this office? I started getting involved in the Republican Party before I was even 18. A local guy in Waco was our state senator for a while, a guy named David Sibley, and he ran for state senate after losing a congressional bid against a Democrat, Chet Edwards. A lot of us got stuck with him and noticed, I think for about 6 or 8 years, we were all in that same congressional district. In junior high, I was volunteering for David Sibley's campaign. His kids were near my age, and I started helping out conservatives and Republicans running for office just for fun, just because I like the ideals behind the Republican Party. So then fast forward to about 2001, I got on as a precinct chairman in McClellan County and started doing the county newsletter. That was just for fun as well, just to try and help out the community, help. At that time, we were still a Democrat majority county. We're a little behind the times with some of these other counties that flipped over faster. It wasn't until 2006 that we started actually beating Democrats in countywide elections. And fast forward again to 2014, we had one countywide Democrat left, and that was the district clerk. And a bunch of our kind of forefathers came to me and said, we need you to run for that office. It's a problem. And over the past several years, the previous district clerk had been fighting for more money in a time of economic downturn. I don't know if y'all remember the Obama years where a lot of counties were getting pinched because there was some inflation, not quite as bad as we had during the COVID years, but there was also just a lot of pinches on county governments. Ours in particular had a new Republican DA and a new Republican sheriff, and suddenly the jails started filling up and the courts started getting backlogged. And the typical Democrat bureaucrat answer was, we just need to spend more money in the clerk's office. And it got so bad that we were having contentious hearings at budget time. And over the 10 years that she was in there, the clerk's office grew at almost twice the rate in the budget as the county government. So I came in 2015 after having the kitchen sink thrown at me, being outspent 5-1. I ran a grassroots campaign, knocked on over 10,000 doors personally in our county, and convinced the voters that we needed a change. That change led to us keeping steady. We actually decreased an employee slot for 1.5 years until we got a state mandate, and then added that, and over 10 years added one more employee. But during that same time, we added 3 new courts. So the answer to more government isn't always more money. It's more efficient government so that it works better for you. And that's what I try to do over the almost 11 years that I served as district clerk. This past summer, a good friend of mine, Brian Birdwell, decided to pursue another opportunity, and I was excited to hear that. And a lot of people in our community and the surrounding counties asked me to consider running. Speaking of service, Greg Carroll's doing a great job as our SRC guy. I've been going to this family since 2002. I've been an active member of the SD 22 delegation, at times helping lead that, at times serving on state committees, either in a temporary or permanent position, whether that was on rules or several times as our nominations committee, and helped lead us away from a bankrupt party to getting in Stephen Sterry and having the highest amount of Republicans in the Texas House in a conservative movement moving forward. So I've been active at the state level, and the local level, and regionally. So that's what drove me into this office was we've got a very diverse Senate district that stretches from Ellis County to Eastland, and from Tarrant County down to Falls, and a lot of land in between. And we need someone that can be a consensus builder, that can work for all the counties in the district. We can't have a single voice that's only going to represent a single part of the district. As far as conservative bona fides, I've been over our county's resolutions committee and helped bring forward those conservative ideas from the local precinct conventions up to the state conventions. I've worked with Senator Birdwell, Doc Anderson, and other members of the legislature to help pass conservative legislation. I was even an advocate for pro-life bills like the heartbeat bill, starting in 2003, long before it was popular. So I'm there with you in those fights. I've been in the trenches. I'm ready to go to Austin, take our voice to Austin. And standing alongside of me is our immediate past SREC man and 3 other previous SREC mans. They all see the leadership in me to serve down in Austin. They've seen the experience that I bring to the table, as well as our current SREC lady and previous SREC lady. The conservative grassroots are here to bring a conservative grassroots leader to Austin. So what questions do y'all have? I know one of them's data centers. Let me talk about that right quick, because when I jumped into the race this last summer, data centers weren't that big of an issue. And over the last 6 months, they've kind of gotten to be a thorn in a lot of people's sides. And I promised someone in the audience that I would talk about data centers. And I know y'all probably have some concerns. We've got 3 of them trying to come into McLean County as we speak. I know Hill County to our north has 2 or 3 in various stages. And what I immediately turned to was, we need a regulatory framework. And for the last couple of months, I've been suggesting that. It's becoming very clear that we don't have one. Greg mentioned that very well. Hearings would be great. I think that would draw more attention to it, but it may be a pressing enough issue that we need a special session. Without legislative guidance and funding, TCEQ is going to have a hard time regulating it. And without some law changes, there's going to be a hard time for local people to have any input in the process. We could have something like a dump or a landfill going in, and there's an open TCEQ permitting process where local people can come and voice their concerns. They do an environmental study. We don't have any of that. And a lot of rural members of our community down in McLean County are upset because they bought property out in the countryside to enjoy peace and quiet, and here comes 600 acres of data farms. And that's not happy for them. Without some sort of public permitting process that allows for public input, we're going to continue to get the same results that we've seen over the last 18 months. So I think we need legislative leadership in this. If we have to wait till January, so be it. But we need to have some sort of guidance so that TCEQ can actually regulate this, or the other option would be to hand that regulatory authority over to your county commissioners, because they're closer elected by y'all, and they would be more responsive to the voters and less likely to work against the will of the voters. So either way, we need a permitting process that's open, public, transparent, and responsive to the voters. So what questions can I answer?
Colton has one. He says he's been asked a lot.
My question is, are you soliciting donations from Sands Corp? Would you accept donations from Sands Corp if offered, and do you support legalizing gambling?
I don't know. I've never solicited money from them. I don't believe that's necessarily in the best interest of this region. I've heard kind of the arguments that they've made for it from others, and I don't think that that's really what our district wants. I think we want to have a nice rural lifestyle for the most part. Some people live in a little more suburban, urban environments, but either way, I've heard loud and clear that nobody in this Senate district wants to have legalized gambling, and I'm here to represent the will of the people.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that talked to you about the day centers, and I was just wondering, I know that countywide, we're probably not gonna have a lot of input or a lot of influence on what's happening, but is there any way that we could vote as a state to put it on the ballot to let the citizens actually have their voices heard overall? Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that's gonna be affected by it.
I don't know of a current process that would allow for a statewide initiative of that. Otherwise, other than the SRC can add things to the ballot. It's a little late for that for the March primary, but they are allowed to add propositions. I don't know, Greg, can the SRC add something to the general election? So it's just the March primary because it's the party primary. So a ballot initiative like that doesn't really have a process in our state. We're not California where they have ballot initiatives for a lot of things like that. But I think we need legislators to lead on this issue and to make sure that people are protected, their property is protected. Where Texas has been for 100 and some odd years is this is my property. I want to do with it what I want. And if I live outside of the city limits, my neighbor can't tell me what to do with it. But now we have huge billionaire companies coming in to make multi-billion-dollar investments, and we're getting what's essentially an industrial park put in the middle of a rural community. It's not popular, it's not helpful, some of them are disruptive, at times they're draining our resources, they all need water, and if they're not bringing power to the table, they're draining our power and stressing our power grid out. And we've worked hard over the last 5 years since the 2021 winter storm to get a better grid, but the more things we add onto it sucking off the grid, the more we also have to add to it to stabilize the grid. So it's stressing the grid out at a minimum, and it could be a stress point. So I think we need some help in that area from the legislature.
My question is about eliminating property taxes. I want to know where you stand on that, and if you are for eliminating property taxes, how would you go about doing that?
Yes, so Conservative Framework have fought to help push that down to Austin for years, and I know the legislature has made attempts to lower property taxes. Oftentimes, they're somehow magically impeded our school districts to fund a bond, and some of that or all of it gets erased with a bond election, and we don't see the net results. So the easiest way to structurally fix the property tax wars between the appraisal district and the taxing entities and the taxpayers is to eliminate the M&O portion of the school finance system. I've been saying that for 5 months. We can buy that down over time. It's probably not going to happen in one session, but the legislature has had billions upon billions of dollars of surplus, and we funded a lot of great projects. We've dedicated several billion to Alzheimer's research. We've dedicated more money to our regional road authorities. We've dedicated all these projects, but we haven't structurally fixed the biggest issue for the last 8 to 20 years that Republicans have griped about, and that's the growing burden of property taxes. It's not good to give carve-outs. We need to have across-the-board property tax cut so it's helpful to everyone. And that's where I would like to go. That's a portion of the property taxes. Once you get outside of the M&O property tax and even the INS with schools, they're getting over to cities and counties, and they have a lot of what are called unfunded mandates from the state of doing government functions, whether it's police, fire, jails, your court system, which I used to be an administrator of. Those are all use shalls from the state, and we have to figure out some way for them to pay for it. Doing that and trying to eliminate those property taxes gets more difficult. It could be some combination of sales taxes, but that's something that would have to be negotiated across probably several sessions. I think the easiest and first thing
that would be most noticeable is to buy down the school taxes with state funds. Okay.
Okay, I have a question that it really might make data centers and everything else the last of your worries, but I just heard again today, Islam is the fastest growing religion in this nation. If they continue to grow and we lose our culture, data centers will be the last problem we have. So, is the Texas government aware of these situations? I mean, there's huge encampments between Houston and Austin area down there. I don't know how they even came into existence, the infrastructure, the taxes, the utilities. I don't know how any of that happened, but do you hear any rumbling at all in Texas? I mean, is there anything of being aware that we got a major problem?
Yes, and this did come up last legislative session. There was what was called an Epic Center in Collin County, and it caught a lot of people off guard, just like you're talking about. But this is an issue that we need to face. We don't want to go the same way Europe went. We've got to make sure that people that come to this country know that we're a Christian nation, that we're going to follow the laws of the land, not invent our own laws for our religion. We're not a theocracy. We don't want Sharia law. And there shouldn't be a carve-out where you can choose to live under Sharia law. Everyone should live under the same laws, and we need to ban Sharia law. That hasn't been done yet. We need to do that. I agree with you that it is a threat. We had in McLennan County a retired FBI guy came and gave a very sobering look at how the federal government has largely not addressed the internal threats posed by Islamification.
So I'm going to address the data centers. You just said you had 600 acres coming to McLennan County. That's really small compared to what we have here. Might sound big, but if you add the 4 data centers that are have all announced here, it's 6,400 acres. That is 45 AT&T stadiums, including all the parking. Or put it another way, it's 4 NASA space centers in Houston coming to Hood County. So we have a problem. In Houston, we have a problem. So yes, I agree that I really encourage you and the rest of the legislature to work on this issue. You said if they don't bring their power, there's a pull on the grid. Well, 3 of the data centers that have announced here in Hood County are building their own power plants. One of them that's close to, well, there are 3 are in my precinct. One of the ones that was discussed just recently will have 16 turbines. That's like having 8 747s across the river from us where some of us live in Pecan Plantation, going constantly. So, when you mentioned about TCEQ, yes, it needs to be reformed. The legislation needs to be reformed because the way the air quality permitting is now, and I'm sure you know, would allow for a gas-fired power plant to be built side by side the whole length of I-35 because they evaluate each one individually. Don't think that's what was intended. So just your thoughts on all that. I know I threw a lot out there, but sure, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think Greg was trying to point out. I'm trying to point out. I'm sure David would as well. David Cook's here, the other candidate in the thing. We both said similar things, but we have to get some sort of regulatory framework in place. Otherwise, there's no way to stop these from coming in. And we have a president that's made it a national security item. And we all have probably voted for President Trump and agree with a lot of his policies, but the net effect is we're getting a lot of data centers in Texas because the land is cheaper than other areas. We have a lot of natural gas, and that's one of the cleanest ways to produce power. But, well, that's 2 out of 3 problems they're looking for. The other one's water. We don't have a lot of extra water. And so unless they're bringing water to the table, which I haven't heard any of them doing that, it's going to stress our resource management. And do we really want to commit
years of resources to what might be a flash in the pan. Elon's already trying to develop data centers in space. And so that a lot of people think this is somewhat of a bubble, but we're in the middle of the bubble, and we need to figure out a way to not disrupt and destroy what we have here. I was talking with the mayor in Marlin, and she was saying that all the solar panels that came in Vermont ruined the agricultural industry because of the water leaching chemicals into the soil. And after they removed them because they weren't economically viable, the soil couldn't be used for basic agriculture for 10 years, and organic agriculture, or what do you call it? I guess organic's the word, for 20 years. Wow. And that type of long-term effect for short-term gains is not going to be good for us. It's not going to be good for our state, and probably not good for our nation either.
Okay, I have one last question coming, but before I do that, I want to hold you hostage. I want to say, if y'all want to get to meet some of the candidates here while they're still here, feel free to mingle with them while we'll ask for a couple volunteers to help us take some stuff off the tables and move up those tables. And our last question, David.
Hey, John. Thank you for sharing your plan for cutting the M&O and the property tax, but my question is about spending and entitlement for legislators. So the past 2 sessions, last 4 years, they've increased the state budget spending by over 44%. That is way above population and inflation growth. That's the record-breaking amount of spending increases in such a short period of time to drive inflation. And also, during that same time, they had over a $40 billion surplus they just gave for government spending to benefit lobbyists and their clients. Also, the legislators, this past session, they coupled their retirement pay with full-time judicial salary. So they get 80% of a full-time judge's salary for working part-time for 4 years because they only meet every other year. So what are you going to do to stop the spending and entitlement of the legislators?
So I definitely agree with you on the spending growth and that. I would say the only way that I would be for spending growth, because it's considered spending growth, is buying down your property taxes. The state has to spend the money to replace the funds to the local schools because it's a constitutional mandate to have a public education system. So the only way I would increase spending and go above those spending caps is if we're actively buying down property taxes so that it's a net decrease for the taxpayer. That's a hard line for me. The other ones you're talking about there, the legislative retirement system, I think is due to be phased out in kind of a sunset provision, similar to that, where over time it's going to switch to the TPC managing it. They've been as a percentage of the judicial system, and I think to get to 80%, you have to serve for quite a while, like 20 years. I think they get 2% per year of service. So that's not a whole lot of money, but you're right, it is an entitlement, and that's why some of the Senate and the House had an interplay, because some of the conservatives thought that it was a little bit improper to vote for the judges' pay when it also backdoored their own retirement pay. And that's why the compromise was to eventually decouple it from that. The problem that you're talking about, it'll be an independent system within a few years, but currently it's still what you're talking about. So that's kind of what I would say on those things. Do you want me to make a closing statement or close out? Or? Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank y'all for coming tonight. I hope that I can earn your vote. I want to be your next state senator. You've probably looked through the bullet points on there. The securing the border, I actually spent the better part of a year on the border as part of Operation Border Star under Governor Abbott. I was down there as part of the intelligence task force during the Obama years. And I can tell you firsthand that the state was the one keeping the border secure because Obama had ordered all the military aircraft and Border Patrol aircraft grounded because it was unsafe. So it was your Texas DPS helicopters and Texas military forces that were keeping you safe during the Obama years. We regularly had reports and found prayer rugs coming in with illegal immigrants. And we caught several people through that network of state forces that were coming from not Mexico, not South America, but countries that want to do us harm. I take serving seriously. It's not just a punchline for me. I've served on the border. I've served in the local government, and I've served in the party, and I'd like to serve for you in the Senate. Thank you.
Okay, so we just got done here. I know I've kept you a little longer than usual, but I wanted to make a couple of statements, and one being, I do a newsletter every month, and if you're a member of the club, then you know that I send these out to you as a member. This month, I'm fixing to send the one out for January, and it's a recap of the month, basically, what's been going on. And in this, I got word about a video about the Muslims, and that not too long ago, and so I took a look at it. I wanted to bring it to you guys, but it's over 2 hours long, so I don't know. So what I've done is I put the information in my newsletter about the video, and this is by a man that was born in Iran, was a Muslim in Iran, followed the religion faithfully, he and his family. They came to the United States in 1999, and as he was here in the United States, he became Christian. He's very much into the Word of God. He loves his God, and that. So he takes in this video and lets you look at the Muslim world, how it runs, and the Christian world, and how they collide, what happens there, and what the Muslims expect to do with the Christians as it goes forward. And it's really interesting. I'm kind of one of those that likes to watch this stuff and really get into it. Don't know if you do, but my newsletter will have that video on it to go to and watch, but if you can, it'd be very, very good for you to do. It's called Battle for America, and his name is Jahan Hindid, I think, Hindid is his last name, so you don't look that up, you can. But it's very good, very interesting. The other thing I want to do is, and I know we have John Gimble here tonight, but we also have David Cook, and David's been with us before, so most of y'all probably already know him. If not, go back out, check both these individuals. Sounds like they're both good candidates for running, and so check them out and call them and talk with them and see how they feel with, align with you. I guess that's what it is. So I don't want to keep you much longer. Do we have Wes here?
Wes is right here. He's back here.
Okay, Wes is going to sing us out. This is what we do every month. We sing in and we sing out.
Let's all join together. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the